everyone, welcome back to my kitchen. If you're a returning viewer, this is a long overdue video. If you're a new viewer, I honestly can't think of a better first video for my channel. Today I'm making sofrito. If you've watched any of my other videos where I'm making Puerto Rican food, you know that I almost always, I'd say 99% of the time, use sofrito. Sofrito really just has all those basic ingredients that have a lot of flavor and add a lot of flavor to the dish, just put together in a sort of mash or puree, and that's what we're going to be making today. So I mentioned sofrito is very common in Puerto Rico, and of course we make it with the ingredients that are just readily available on the island. That's not really the case in Chicago and in the United States. So if you're making sofrito outside of Puerto Rico, you might have a little bit of difficulty finding the ingredients that I have here, but there are substitutions and I'm gonna mention them. So the first thing that you'll use in sofrito is a whole head of garlic. The other thing that you'll use is one white onion. You'll use either 3/4 or the whole onion. We'll keep an eye on the color of the sofrito, and that'll determine how much onion we want to use. It should be greener. If it starts getting too white, you have too much onion in there. We also have a Cubanelle pepper. These are really easy to find in US grocery stores. Now this, this is pretty important for sofrito. This is culantro. It's also called recao. It gives the name to the sofrito. So we're making sofrito, but we also call it recaito, and it gets the name from this, recao. I had to go all the way to the Hispanic market to find this. I couldn't find it in any of the grocery stores in my neighborhood. So if for some reason you have difficulty finding this recao or culantro, you can use cilantro. I like cilantro. I don't have anything against it. I don't mind cilantro as a garnish on my dish. I don't love it. It definitely alters the flavor a little bit, and I know there's people that taste cilantro sort of as soap. So if you're one of those people, you might want to use culantro instead of substituting for cilantro. It smells so good. It smells, it's like fresh. It really reminds me of the smell in my kitchen when I was growing up. So this is culantro or recao. And then the other key ingredient that we just want to make sure that you use this is what we call Ahia Dulces. They're small little sweet peppers. They're green, and as they start maturing, they start changing colors. So typically you'd get them either green or red or orange. I was able to find like about 10 or 11 of them. I think initially I picked out, I have them all here, I picked out about 13 little peppers, and they started going bad, so I had to start tossing some of them away. And I don't have as many as I like. Usually I want to use about half a pound of these little sweet peppers. So this is the case for me where I have to use a substitute. I'm using these peppers, but I'm also going to be using half a red pepper. It's not the same as the little sweet peppers, Ahia Dulces, but it does the job. It's just pepper, so this will work. So in your case, if you can't find Ahia Dulces, still get the Cubanelle pepper. But if you can't find the Ahia Dulces, then you can use a red bell pepper and a green bell pepper. And then the final thing we're going to use is a little bit of olive oil. This is going to get very thick. We want to make sure we can blend it, so just a little bit of olive oil, but that's it. There's no seasoning in the sofrito that we're gonna prepare. The whole idea of this is that you can use it to start any dish. You're not adding seasoning. You're adding that flavor from the garlic and the onion and the peppers and the recao, which smells incredible, but you're not adding seasoning. So these are the ingredients. There's really not much more to it. I already washed my culantro, I washed my ajíes, I washed my peppers. So what I'm gonna do is start peeling the garlic, peel the onion, chopping everything up and tossing it in my blender to get it ready for the recao. Oh, and I don't think I had mentioned this, but I'm keeping a veggie scrap Ziploc bag. So all of the peels and the stems that I cut off from the vegetables, I'm tossing in here. I'm freezing this. I started it January 17th. And when this fills up, I'm just gonna boil it and make some homemade veggie stock. So that will be a video at some point, but yeah, that's what it looks like. For the Ahia Dulces, the most important thing is that you get the seeds out, and since they're so tiny, it's a little bit tricky, but what I do is I cut them in half and then I scoop out the seeds, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. All the seeds are gone, so I'm tossing that in there. I'm tossing the seeds in my scrap bag. It doesn't really matter if if you're handling these with your bare hands or if you get seeds all over the place. They're not spicy. I am done mixing the sofrito. If you look at it, and I'll zoom in, but you'll notice that it looks a little bit on the orange side. It's not as green as the sofrito that I use in any of my recipes previous to this one. Yeah, that's because of the red pepper. So if you're one of those people that must have their sofrito look green, and you have to substitute some of the ingredients, don't use a red bell pepper, use a green bell pepper. But otherwise, everything is pretty consistent with sofrito. What I like to do now is actually freeze my sofrito in ice cubes. I know this, I've measured this. These are 2 tablespoons each. So I freeze my sofrito into 2 tablespoons of ice cubes, and then I just store them in the freezer for whenever I need them, and they last for about 10 months. The current sofrito that I'm using, I made it all the way back in August, and it's almost the end of January right now, and I'm still using that sofrito. If you're constantly cooking and using sofrito, then you might want to keep this in the fridge. But for me, I use sofrito about once a week, so it's just easier to have it frozen and just pull it out whenever I need it. Just to give you an idea of what this will look like when it's frozen, I have my little bag here of frozen sofrito. This is what it looks like. You can also tell how green this sofrito is compared to this one. I didn't use any red bell peppers on this one. I only used the Ahia Dulces. I'm just gonna start putting these in the ice cubes, and I'll show you what it looks like once it's all here. Well, there you have it, sofrito in ice cubes. I'm gonna freeze this. I'm gonna give it maybe 24 hours in the freezer, and then once it's fully frozen, I just pop these out, put them in a Ziploc bag, and I keep them in the freezer for as long as I need them. I wanted to wash the blender, and then I figured I might as well just make a soup with this water because it's just the leftovers from the sofrito bits that were in there, and I don't want that, all those flavors to go to waste. Anyways, that's it for today. If you've ever had Puerto Rican food, you've had food that's made with sofrito. So hopefully you give this a try. If you live in the United States like me, you're gonna have a little bit of issues finding the ingredients, but I mentioned in the beginning, it's really easy to substitute for some of the more common ingredients here in the States. I tried to keep this as close to the traditional Puerto Rican version of sofrito as I could, but even I struggled finding enough Ahia Dulce. That happens when you're not on the island. So, if you can't find the exact ingredients, just still try it, and try one of my other recipes using sofrito to see if you like them. Well, let me know if you do try making sofrito. Let me know if you what substitutions that you have to make, or if you're able to find all of the ingredients. I would love to see pictures of how it turns out. As always, if you're subscribed to my channel, thank you. If not, I encourage you to subscribe. I post new recipes every Saturday, and if you're enjoying them, please like and share. Bye.